Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. Preacher is the TV show that premiered last year in 2016, and it is a show based on the Vertigo DC comics of the same title, which I haven't read. Unfortunately these days, well, I did read a lot of comics when I was young. I don't really read comics anymore. So well, as I knew what Preacher was, I knew the title. Other than that, I didn't know anything really about the character itself before watching this show. Now, just lately, I've been watching a lot of pilot episodes. Some of them I've reviewed on this channel, some of them I haven't. And they all seem of a fairly similar ilk. You've got the Outcast, you've got the Channel Zeros, and the Preacher, and Constantine. They all seem to be of a similar ilk, like a supernatural thing. They all seem to be trying to recapture the same thing. What I think elevates this above most of the others that I've seen is the quality of production. This was produced, and this first pilot episode was certainly directed by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. Two of my favourite writing and directing partnerships in Hollywood right now, and Seth Rogen is certainly one of my favourite comedy actors at least. So they've obviously got a passion for this, so they're heavily involved. And it tells the story basically of Dominic Cooper, who is the preacher of a small Texan town. He's got some kind of dark past that we don't learn an awful lot about in this pilot episode. He's come back as the preacher to try and make amends, turn around his life, whatever. And he seems to be failing fairly miserably. Certainly in this pilot episode, to the point where at the end he actually is considering quitting being the preacher. Along the way we meet Cassidy, an Irish vampire, I believe he is, who we first meet on a plane, who basically goes loopy on this plane, and I wasn't sure whether he was going to be a goodie or a baddie. I'm still not 100% to be honest. But I really like his character. He, for me, was one of the best parts of this episode. And he somehow ends up in this small town as well. And another character I think called Tulip, who is obviously got some connection with the preacher in his past, and she wants him to like go on some one last job, and she seems like some kind of one woman killing machine when we first meet her. She really is quite nice character, but really kicking a lot of ass. So there's a lot to take in this episode, and then on top of that there's this supernatural event that keeps occurring in all these churches all over the world, where this supernatural force that's at the beginning of the episode seems to be coming from space, keeps entering all these priests all over the world, but obviously they can't take it and they just like explode, literally explode on the spot. And there's even a funny part in the episode where they say that Tom Cruise has exploded at a Scientology sermon. So where this supernatural thing obviously tried to enter him and it didn't work out. And then by the end of the episode, I believe it is anyway, this supernatural entity or whatever it is enters Dominic Cooper's preacher, and he appears to survive it. But we don't really learn what the repercussions of that are, and we only kind of get a hint at the end what is going to basically happen with this entity entering him. There's also these two mysterious characters that keep turning up all over the world and following this entity, that keep showing up. So there's a lot here to get me interested, and I will definitely be watching the rest of this series. For sure, this is the one show that has definitely has got my attention above all the others that I've seen recently. So yeah, so far I think this is going to be a really good show.
Two.